Today's episode is one that feels especially close to home. I'm joined by Hope Mikal, founder of Unicorn Marketing Co., a creative agency that helps entrepreneurs build brands rooted in joy, inclusion, and purpose. Hope's story is one of resilience, self-understanding, and the slow, messy work of coming home to your body after years of disconnection. We talk about what it's like growing up with scarcity and control around food, the generational patterns between mothers and daughters navigating PCOS and endometriosis, and the tenderness of infertility. This conversation is raw, real, and a reminder that healing isn't about perfection. It's about noticing what your body's been trying to say all along. Welcome to One Body to Love, where we're rewriting the rules around food, body image, and self-acceptance. I'm Dr. Meredith McKenzie, therapist, coach, and your guide to a life free from diet culture and food guilt. If you ever felt stuck in the cycle of binging, restricting, or struggling to feel at home in your body, you're in the right place. Each week, we'll explore emotional eating, body image, and joyful movement through solo episodes, expert interviews, and real-life coaching sessions. Because your body is not the problem. This is your space to learn, heal, and finally break free, and to discover what it means to love the body you're in. Thank you so much for joining me today, Hope. Before we really dive into things, can you tell me a bit about what your relationship with your body was like growing up?
Hi, Meredith. Thanks so much for having me. This is a big question. I have been thinking back on it. And as a child, I learned very quickly, I think, to hold shame for my body and who I was. And there was a lot of moving parts and things happening around me. And I didn't know or understand that my body was holding on to all of that information at that time.
Do you mind me asking where that came from?
Where this disconnected piece came from?
Yeah, or like the even just the feelings of shame at such a young age.
Well, I think the disconnected piece was a survival instinct of like fight or flight. And the sense of shame definitely came from my family's economic status.
Mhm.
There's a lot of scarcity in my earlier life. And there was also a bit of like control and like me being told how to be or what to eat or like when to eat or what that looked like.
Mhm.
But also in the scarcity piece, it's also like uh, there's only like one meal and you have to eat it now and that's it kind of thing. Or like you won't be eating kind of vibes. So
Mhm.
yeah, definitely a lot to process.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, like as you're even saying that, I'm thinking about some of the struggles we're having right now with my 4-year-old and getting him to eat a more, variety of foods and that kind of thing. And
hmm
I'm just imagining trying to have those conversations with him of like, these are the things we're trying to help you eat, and you're not going to get another meal. So like take it or leave it.
Mm-hmm.
And like what that
Mm-hmm.
would be like if you genuinely don't like a food, but you also don't have much of a choice, or you're then stressed about what you are going to have access to later.
Definitely. Yeah. Yeah.
So it sounds like for you too, like the relationship with food, the relationship with your body is like so intertwined with that, like just how your family was functioning at that time in life.
Yes. Yes, definitely.
Can you give our listeners like a bit of an understanding of what life, everyday life looked like for you? Like kind of paint the picture of how that early start kind of impacted you?
Yes. I would say at the age of 11, my parents divorced,
Mm-hmm.
but it was a very rocky divorce. And the way it all happened was very traumatizing for myself and my brother. And we weren't given a lot of support systems in how to process that or understand that. And there wasn't a lot of talk about emotions or like what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
And essentially, I would say that at the age of 11, it was on me to grow up and become the parent of the family and start taking care of myself and my brother. And so doing like regular household chores and cooking meals and stuff like that became the job of 11-year-old me,
Mm.
which was pretty intense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
really intense. And like what I always think about when I talk to clients is like, no one prepared you for that. You're too young to be able to actually manage all those things, plus all of the pressure of just doing them in everyday. Like, how many of us as adults struggle with those things still? And to
Yes.
expect
Yeah.
a child to do that.
I'm learning a lot now in my 30s and understanding what happened there and how to reparent myself. But yeah, there was a lot going on, and that is just like the tip of the iceberg.
Hmm. So there was a disconnect that started to develop between you and your body. Can you describe that?
hmm I I think I did everything I could to try and numb myself and create ways of not being connected to my body. So by food or by drugs or by alcohol, just trying to not experience what was going on in my mind and my body.
Hmm. The way you describe, like the way you're saying that, it sounds like there was like a desire to escape from maybe what was going on
hmm
there.
Yeah.
So those were things that you, like in a way, like I see like our responses to trauma as almost like a superpower of like you recognize that that was something that was intolerable to live with, not a fun time, not something you wanted to continue to experience. So you found other ways to get out of it, even if you
hmm
physically couldn't remove yourself.
Yes, yes, definitely. A form of escapism is a great way of putting it. Yeah.
And so at least my experience is that not too many people are aware that that's what it is that they're doing in the moment. Like
hmm
it kind of takes our grown-up selves to look back and be like, oh, wow. What was the experience like for you at that age to disconnect from your body?
I think there was a lack of understanding of like what is actually nutritious
Hmm.
and good for my body. And so there was just like a complete unawareness or lack of understanding on why that was good. And also like a rebellious sense of like, well, I'm just going to do whatever I want to try and have control over my own body.
Mm.
So by putting, say, like sugar or alcohol into my body, that was a way of me managing it.
Yeah. Like I can make the choice for myself. Like I have autonomy with this.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Trying to find that bit of control.
Hmm.
hmm
Which I think a lot of people from the outside or like in our I don't know, diet culture kind of world where we judge people so much for what they eat of like, why couldn't you just do this differently? It's like, well, you're not recognizing that some people like they do this because it does feel like a sense of control. It might be not a helpful sense of control or like a way that actually like benefits them in the long term, but in that immediate moment, it can feel, I don't know if freeing is the word, but like a moment of like righteousness.
hmm I think it was the only way I understood how to cope at that time
Hmm.
was the relationship that I had with my body and how
Hmm.
I was treating it.
Hmm.
Yeah.
This is personal, so please like feel free to not. You're like, this is already personal, Meredith.
Yeah,
Um,
we're already there.
yeah. Um, what did that look like for you? Like, what did having control over your food, and you've alluded to like substances and that kind of thing. Like, I guess we should say trigger warning for anybody who is struggling currently with substances. Um,
Sorry. Yeah.
no, it's real, right?
Mm.
What what did that look like for you? And maybe I'll share my own experience too.
What did it look like for me? Um, yeah, I think there was just like a lot of experimentation and trying to fit in that time frame of being a teenager. And so putting myself in experiences where I should not have been and doing things I should not have been doing was definitely my outlet. And I would say, like, being a rebel without a cause was kind of where I was going at that
Hmm.
time, just on a mission to do something, but I didn't know what I was doing and I was going to take anybody down with me.
Hmm. And in so many ways, it sounds like that really unfortunate situation of you being put into such an adult role at such a young age, it like parallels that in some ways because should you be responsible for all of the household chores and taking care of a younger
Mm-hmm.
sibling? No.
Mm-hmm.
Should you be in those
Mm-hmm.
other maybe two adult situations with peers and that kind of thing and using substances? No. But how is one
Mm-hmm.
wrong when the other is right? Like in your
Exactly.
kid mind, how do you rationalize that? Or if I don't get a choice, I have to take care of my younger sibling. What are the things I have choices over? And
Mm-hmm.
there might not be that many.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I've definitely found that like a rebellious piece coming out all throughout like my 20s as well. It
Hmm.
just kind of keeps floating back up.
Hmm.
Um and I would say like I was a great student. I had pretty good grades and I just chose not to go to school. Or like I chose to go spend time to go smoke in like a baseball pit instead of going to class, but I still did okay, which
Wow.
is interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's almost like this duality of life of like following the rules in one area, knowing that that is
Mhm.
important, and then not following the rules or purposely not following the rules elsewhere.
Yeah. Yeah, good word for it.
But there is this terminology or this like kind of concept in DBT, um, where if it's not acceptable to, I'm just going to say radical acceptance. If it's not acceptable to, act out in a way, you don't want to, I don't know, say F you to every person in your life and blow up all your relationships and whatever. There are other ways that we can more appropriately do those things that doesn't hurt anybody else. And I am so curious, and not to put you on the spot, but anybody watching the video, you have a beautiful, very colorful background. You have very fun glasses. Like, I wonder, are there
Yes.
other ways now that you are able to do the little, like, well, I'm going to go outside the box?
Yeah, I think I go outside the box all the time. You can see literally I have a good disco ball above my head. And I think that that's so the way that that like rebellious piece shows up. I didn't want to fit into a structured area of business or a corporate 9 to 5 piece. And I wanted to find more joy and fun in business. So I'm creating those experiences for myself now.
Hmm. And it's like a
Yeah.
way to marry those two things of like, I'm not going to do anything that's going to harm myself in any way, but I'm going
Mhm.
to have fun with it. I'm going to break the rules a little bit or what the expectation of the status quo is and
Yeah.
live a little bit on the wild side.
Yeah. Thank you for pointing that out.
Yeah.
That's very
I
rare.
didn't know if it was going to feel like I was just like pointing out everything I could see
No.
in the screen, but yeah.
No. I appreciate that perception. Thank you.
Um, I'm so curious about like the level of responsibility, and I'm going to do my own self-disclosure here. I also grew up in food scarcity, money scarcity, all of those things post-parental divorce when I was 8, and my dad became the fun dad. So my dad also had the money. And when we would go to his house on the weekends, it would be a free for all. It would, but like
Mhm.
no responsibility. So there were no, 3 square meals a day, but it was let's buy anything you want at the grocery store, ice cream, chips, like anything, and eat till your heart's content. And if you want anything, just go to the fridge and grab it. So there was a lot of freedom, but there was no structure and there was no boundaries in that sense. And then on the flip side, at my mom's house, it was, I don't know, I would say like pretty traditional, um, raising children. I don't know. She was not overly rigid, but also not, um, she had a lot of structure. But at the same time,
Mhm.
there was a cupboard of food that was not to be eaten because it was snack food for school. Like, we only have a limited budget. We're not going to open this cupboard until it's packing your lunchtime. And there was always this like draw and allure to those foods under the cabinet. Um,
Mm.
and I now looking back see a big, you know, pendulum swing from control over food to no control. And the no control, I got to be honest, wasn't really that happy to be at my dad's house, was feeling a lot of emotions of being there, but it was the benefit of being there. I could eat whatever I wanted. I could stay up
Mhm.
until 3 o'clock in the morning at like 12 years old and play video games and eat whatever I wanted. And that felt really good. That's what came up for me as you were talking about your background. Like, do you relate to any of that in terms of like eating whatever you want or?
Yeah, I definitely relate to hearing that. I definitely tried to eat whatever I want or consume what I wanted when I could and had that opportunity to.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And you had mentioned shame. So where do you think shame came in? Like, when did you start experiencing shame about your eating or your body?
Yeah, I feel like I could pinpoint this. I don't have like a lot of memories of my childhood. I think that that's just kind of like been blocked out.
Hmm.
But my French Canadian grandmother would not visit very often, but she came to visit when I was around 7 or 8. And one of my strongest memories of her is coming to visit and telling me that I was too big or too fat. And so like that just like stuck with me. I feel like that's like been subconsciously there throughout
Hmm.
my entire life.
Hmm.
And I've been holding on to that.
Where did her opinion like sit in the level of importance for you or your mom or dad?
I think that at the time I didn't know like any adult figure was important to me. So I would
Hmm.
say it sat highly for me.
Hmm.
And I now in my later years of life, I can see how my mom has her own issues with food and how that's like a generational issue. And how she treats me around food now, even as an adult, I'm like, okay, this is very interesting. Like, I
Hmm.
can see you saying these same things to me over and over while we're eating a meal together. And I had to like compartmentalize and like reframe and try and think about how to approach each situation
Hmm.
and also give myself kindness for sure.
Hmm. So for you within your relationship with your mom, it's like a living creature kind of thing. It's not just after the meal or talking about your body in general. It's like as you're physically eating.
Yeah, yeah. Like for example, it was just Thanksgiving, and my mom has a thing about eating slowly. I think that she controls her food a lot. Um, and so for her, eating slowly means that maybe you don't have to eat as much food, or
Hmm.
like that's the way she's compartmentalizing it.
Right.
So she will say to me while we're eating food together, like, eat slowly, or you could eat slower. And I have noticed that like I do eat slowly, like just even when I'm not around her very often, but
Hmm.
I can see myself like pacing myself in comparison to other people around a table. And that is just something that sticks with me. So that's very interesting. And the way that she speaks about my body, she definitely does, even now. Just at Thanksgiving, was commenting on my body composition. And I'm like, okay, thank you. Guess. Like, not that this needs to be discussed, but
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. And
Mhm.
I think there's a lot more of your story that I'd love to get into to like tie all that in, but I always find it so
Okay.
interesting when there's daughters of mothers who are very controlled themselves or um have a lot of like active conversations about bodies, and how did you
Mm.
break that mold? Like, how did you escape from that to then be able to be like, okay, I'm not doing that for myself, and I'm not okay that you do that. And it sounds like then there's another level of like, how do we get mom to stop? But that's just always
Well,
so interesting to me. Like, that's like a huge step.
I'm in the middle. I don't think I have the final answer for
Yeah.
you. I would love to be able to tell her how to stop or to not comment on my body. Not sure she would listen or respond to that
Yeah.
information. But I'm definitely doing my part of trying to like reframe when that comes up and what that sounds like for myself
Hmm.
and trying to like let it go
Hmm.
and just be myself as I am.
Hmm. If this is something that's a habit for her that she talks about, eat slowly, um, what do you gather is her intention with it, or what do you think she is experiencing as she's saying it? What compels her to say it?
Ooh, such a great question, Meredith. I think there is a sense of control for herself and probably some sort of deeper fear around how she needs to be or I think that could go even deeper into just like lifestyle or like budgeting or like how
Mm.
much food you have in the fridge and like that kind of thing too. And how to like ration herself potentially.
Hmm. So it's like a reminder, an active reminder of slow down, slow down, slow down.
Hmm,
Like maybe
hmm.
coming from a fear or an anxiety.
Maybe, yeah.
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 I will just say, obviously, no diagnosis for your mom or anything like that. But I'll often talk to clients about um, when we see our loved ones kind of engaging this kind of thing, where like it almost compulsively comes up out of nowhere. Like it doesn't feel like there's a natural segue, or I didn't invite this conversation. I didn't solicit these comments from you. It's often that person's insecurity or that person's like whatever they're going through about that. And you could be there or not there, and she would still say it, if that makes
Hmm,
sense. Like she could
hmm.
be talking to a wall. It's
Yes,
usually that person's anxiety that like compels them to say it, and it's their way of trying to regulate themselves in that moment.
that makes sense. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. I talk quite a bit actually with like close friends about like how do we deal with our moms when
Mhm.
meals like this are going to come up and their anxiety about their food is going to come up.
Mm. It's a good reminder that it's not about me too, and then I can just let it go, and
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't have to hold this weight anymore about it.
Hmm. Like she'd probably say it to the dog if they were there together.
Probably.
So another thing that we have connected on, Hope, has been our like shared experiences or similar experiences with infertility. Um, and my experience has been that it is just another chapter in the book of your relationship with your body, that there are so many threads of similarity that go between these things. Can you take us back to when you first learned that you had PCOS, and like what did that moment feel like?
Yeah, I have PCOS and endometriosis,
Okay.
and I agree. It's definitely like chapters. There are now many, many, many layers to who I am. And it took me over 10 years to get a confirmed diagnosis
Hmm.
of my
Which
endometriosis.
is shocking, but
Uh,
also not abnormal, like horrifically not
it's a
abnormal.
reality
Yeah.
for many people. I'm not sure if your listeners can relate, but 1 in 10 women in Canada have endometriosis. And that's alone shocking
Yeah.
that this is occurring. In the community where I lived when I was diagnosed, I would say the medical system was very weighted down and there was not a lot of resources. So I was waiting for surgery, but it would be canceled and postponed multiple times.
Holy
So it
smokes.
didn't just happen. It took like years to get the surgery to diagnose me. And the feeling that I had was very much like, okay, I have this. This is affirming, but what do I do? Like,
Hmm.
how do I go from here? And I didn't have enough of like a community or people system or even healthcare professionals to help me guide to the next step.
Hmm.
So I would say, like, I think this is different for many of my friends who are finding out about endometriosis now. They have a lot of resources there, and I didn't have that per se. I was completely lost, very clueless on what to do. I just was like, okay, here's this diagnosis, and I'm going to experience these emotions and hold weight on myself and
Hmm.
guilt for this. And I have this.
Hmm. Can you explain what
Um,
was the guilt about?
I think that the guilt kind of like goes into this narrative that I have that I'm not worthy. And I have a very low self worth. And so I felt guilty that I had this medical condition and that I was, again, unlike the norm.
Mm. Like it was just one more thing on the list.
Which is how I relate to dealing with infertility now. It feels like one more thing on the checklist of what I.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just want you to know, like that you're not alone in that. Um, like that also has been my experience with infertility, or was my experience with infertility. That it's just so like, why me? Oh, because I'm not meant for this, or there is
Mm-hmm.
inherently something wrong with me that I don't get to experience these things.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's how it feels. So thank you for naming that.
The other question I have is like I feel like the women's fertility and women's like reproductive whole industry, they are a team of specialists. It is like at least in Canada, this tier of specialists that like it takes a lot of referrals and the diagnoses and all of that to get into.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and while at the same time, it sounds like it was affirming for you because you had the symptoms for 10 years and suspected, when you finally get there, it can feel like a lot of like, well, why did this take so long? Like that sense of injustice or like just
Mm-hmm.
frustration, anger with the system. And then I know it does impact your fertility having these things.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
How has that been for you?
Yeah, I think that that rebellious piece comes up for me here. And I have a lot of anger that I could have made different choices when I was in my late 20s and had this information regarding my fertility, but I didn't know
Mm-hmm.
that I had those choices or ways to prepare myself.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I feel like there's a lot of missed time that I could have tried to have had more control over this situation or be more proactive about it.
Mm-hmm. Because yeah, how would you, unless like unless that means like you were going to be more pushy or, how would you know until you know that that is what,
Yeah,
like how many times do you go to the doctor and explain your symptoms and have them listen?
right. Yeah. I, what I mean is like maybe I feel like where I'm at now and how I manage my symptoms and take care of my body and how I approach the medical system,
Mm-hmm.
I've had more confidence in affirming myself
Okay.
in a doctor's office and talking to a doctor and saying, this is what I need.
Mm-hmm.
Um, or even like knowing that, knowing now, the most common thing that people have when diagnosed with endometriosis is to go on birth control. And I feel like that ruined my hormones and didn't set me up for success in my 30s. Um, and so I think that there's a lot of like awareness that I have now that I wish I had then.
Right. I feel like it's one of those things is like you don't know what you don't know. Like how
Yes.
are you supposed
Yes.
to act
Of
on something that
course.
you don't have the information about?
Mm-hmm.
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 To like put that on the tab for the BC curriculum for health studies because we need to know more about that.
Honestly.
I don't need to know that condoms exist as much as I need to know all these other things about my
Yeah.
reproductive health.
Seriously. Yes.
Do you see any overlaps between or like even like parallel lines between your experience with PCOS and endometriosis and then the other aspects of your relationship with your body?
Yeah. I think so. The way I treat my body now is very different. And I'm coming to my body and the relationship with my body with a lot of compassion now and healing and kindness.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm trying, like, honestly, I had to like relearn how to eat healthily at 35. I didn't know that like I should be eating. I know, like I knew
Yeah.
I had to eat 3 meals a day, but I didn't eat 3 meals a day.
Mm-hmm.
So I like just in the last year I've started to force myself to eat meals and regulate my nervous system with food, which to some people could be really shocking, but that was just like the parallels of all of these different things kind of happening at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I'm giving myself a lot of grace
Mm-hmm.
around how I approach my body now.
Mm-hmm. And it sounds like making yourself a priority, like telling yourself that you
Mm-hmm.
need these things. Um,
Mm-hmm.
it sounds almost like in a way like that full circle of being told or being kind of taught that you're not important or that, your own self-care is not important. You can just eat whatever you want to eat. Your symptoms are not taken seriously or brushed off, dismissed. And so
Mm-hmm.
what else can you do in those situations but like disconnect and
Mm-hmm.
say, well, I,
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm assuming I will say myself, I've never been diagnosed with endometriosis. Should I have been? I don't know, but I know how bad
Mm-hmm.
period cramps can get and how horrible they can be. Like the need
Mm-hmm.
to disassociate and disengage from that or check out in a way. And even when
Yeah.
you say like I haven't always eaten 3 square meals a day, like what on a subconscious level, how much are you having to disregard your body's needs and like the hunger or lightheadedness or lack of clarity mentally just to go
Mm-hmm.
about your day, maybe earning your worth through achievement or
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
growing your business.
Yeah. I'm learning a lot in like rapid fire, I think now. Yeah, I don't even know where to go. There was so much you just said there. Um, and like again, it's just like reframing how I approach food and how like nourishing myself and knowing that it's okay to be on this journey where I am now and have that kindness. And I definitely see I've owned my business for 5 years and I'm now understanding the importance of wellness in myself also correlates to wellness in my business. And I was just talking about this on another podcast today of how trying to manage and take care of myself really does correlate to the success of my business and how I show up to my team and to my clients and how I'm able to be fully present
Mm-hmm.
with myself.
Mm-hmm. You say that, and I'm nodding my head like, yes, of course. Those are things that I also know to be true, also things that I've taught clients. However, as a high achiever, I would say I have done the complete opposite of that in
Mhm.
climbing the ladder of my own career.
Absolutely.
And why do you think it is as
Yeah.
women we get that message? And like, what does that look like? Like, to me, it was like late
Yeah.
nights, no sleep, just study. Like,
Yeah.
you don't need
I
these things. You
am
can do without.
I am the person who will do the most without being told to. I will go the extra mile if it hurts myself.
Hmm.
I will stay up late if I have to. I will crunch before. And I think as women, there's so much pressure to perform, and we're not heard the same way in
Hmm.
those same rooms. And so there's so much anxiety and pressure that not everybody has the
Hmm.
same way. The glass ceiling hasn't yet been shattered, I think.
Hmm.
Um, and so that's just one example of how individually we're all struggling with very similar things.
Hmm. Yeah, and I would say like I think it's becoming trendy now, like the whole soft CEO aspect of business,
Hmm.
quiet
Hmm.
quitting, like other things we're seeing. And I maybe we need to
Hmm.
thank Gen Z for this because as millennials, I think we have been the hustle culture for sure, and we still kind of like turn up our noses in some situations to people who are not hustling or willing to hustle. Um,
Hmm.
but it's been the expectation that if you want something bad enough, you're going to push for it. And if
Absolutely.
you're not willing to, do you
I,
deserve it?
yeah, I am trying to unlearn that. And I am trying to fit into the idea of slow business and that I'm not going to rush for anybody and that I'm going to pace myself and I'm going to allow myself to be creative when I want to be creative and open my emails when I want to open my emails. Um, and just like that I had and like up until recently quite had a fear of just like rotating through different inboxes and looking at them. Does that change any success marker for me?
Hmm.
No, but it was like a state of mind that I felt like I had to be occupied in order to do something, to get to the next thing.
Hmm. Like always needing to be busy, always needing to prove yourself. There's
Hmm.
always another task to check off the list.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. It's easy to subscribe to this. It's
Hmm.
hard to unsubscribe to this
Hmm.
idea.
Hmm. And like on my end, when I'm thinking of like what are all the common threads, where are the things that are together? It's like we get into this very all or nothing way of thinking that there's like one way of doing it right and there's one way of doing it wrong. And if we're wrong in that one thing, we are wrong. Me as a
Hmm.
person, I
Hmm.
am wrong. I am not good enough. Um, I want to bring it back to your fertility journey and how your body is and all of that. Do you ever, can you feel those things for yourself, or how do you experience that like sense of betrayal and how your body is reacting or feeling as though you're getting messages that things aren't working for you?
Yeah, I'm feeling very confused. I'm very much that high functioning eldest daughter person, and I'm trying to let go of all of the control, but yet there are so many things that I have to balance and have it in my control while being on a fertility journey, like taking this medication and making sure I'm peeing on a stick at this time of day and making sure I'm doing this test and all of the life admin things that go along with that. Um so there's a lot. I feel like there's a lot of layers to holding that journey. And every month when it does not work, I have that conversation with myself and I'm trying to be kind to myself, but I am not being kind to myself
Mm-hmm.
for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Um and yeah, there's like a sense of betrayal. There's a sense of why not me or when is it going to be me? What do I have to do? I will do whatever I have to do to
Mm-hmm.
get to the
Just
next
just
step.
someone tell me what it is and I'll do it. I'll
Yeah,
jump through the
yeah,
hoops.
yeah, yeah. A lot of confusion and a lot of like, please,
Mm-hmm.
anything. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it does speak to, like you say, eldest daughter, high achiever. Like if you set your mind to something, you can accomplish
Mhm,
it. Yes, you're
mhm.
gonna break your back and bend over backwards and do all of the things and hustle and be exhausted and everything, but it will get done. Like if there's a will, there's a
Mhm.
way. And I think for a lot of women too, we apply that to our relationship with food and dieting as well. Like you can do it. You just push and hustle. All that aside from like what you should or shouldn't do. But I think in fertility, especially, it's like that's not the way that works. Like you could
Mhm.
do all of the things perfectly. You could be exactly within your fertile window and like everything can be done to a T and your body can say no.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I'm still trying to control it and figure out what it needs and what to do, and I have no idea.
Hmm.
Yeah. Mhm.
Um, I want to be sensitive to the fact that this is like a very raw wound for you. But do you
Thank
mind
you.
sharing a little bit about your fertility journey?
Yeah. What would you like to know? Like where I'm at?
Yeah, where are you at? Where have things been? Like how have you been feeling?
Um, I think in spectrum to other people and their journeys, I'm like still quite new. I am a person who wanted to like wait until the perfect time to have kids, and I
Hmm.
didn't think that I would have this problem. So there's that layer to hold on to.
Hmm.
And so
Again, the
now when it,
education that we as women do not have.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And so now that it was the perfect time, I feel like kind of like just a piece of or a person in the system just kind of like waiting for all of those pieces to align.
Mhm.
And I have just this year was when I was admitted to a fertility clinic, and could see a fertility expert. So I had to wait a year in order to be told that it's not working and that you can like go to a fertility clinic. And I'm like,
Right.
I'm pretty sure we know it's not working. um, so there's that, and I'm at a spot where I'm doing all the things. So, like, from a natural wellness perspective, going to acupuncture and an RMT and seeing a naturopath and trying to regulate my hormones and um, manage my insulin resistance, which comes from PCOS. And I'm working on nourishing my body in all of the natural ways with
Hmm.
whole foods. And also, with that, I am going to the fertility clinic on a regular basis. And um, I've just started, what do you call it? Like ovulation tracking.
Okay.
Is that right?
Hmm.
Um, so I'm taking a medication called letrozole,
Hmm.
which is supposed to help your ovulation occur faster so that you can be in that window.
And that is from
And
a PCOS perspective, right? That if you're not having a regular
mhm,
period.
mhm,
Okay.
mhm.
I'll say just from my
Um,
experience with taking it, I don't have PCOS. I was ovulating consistently, but they weren't
mhm,
sure if I was actually, I guess I wouldn't say I was getting a period consistently. They weren't sure if I was
mhm.
actually ovulating. So
Yes, same. I get my
the
period.
letrozole like pushed the growth of the follicle so that it would hopefully release.
Hmm. 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 I get a period, but it's hard to tell if I actually do ovulate. So I've been taking that over the past summer, and it's been a challenge. I feel like my brain stops working, and that when I'm taking it, I just like have the most brain fog and can't compute and show up to be a person. Um, and then there were some challenges this summer where, I mean, it's always something with my health. But so a challenge was that my body did too good of a job in growing the follicle and that it grew a large cyst. So that was a very painful experience. And so we're recording this in October. And so I stopped taking the medication for September and October to give myself a break and try and release the cyst naturally.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm hoping that the next few months of going into this will be fruitful, and I have a lot of weight on myself because again I'm worried. I don't want to have to do IVF.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think it's just really expensive. It's not really in my life capacity. Um, and I also know how much work it is. Like I know how much it takes to put all of these things in my body already. So do I add more to that? Um, Yeah. So that is frustrating. And of course, there's like the element of peers and people in my life who I love who are having that success.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's the managing of my feelings and compartmentalizing and grieving through that and
Yeah.
holding space for that as well.
Mm-hmm. I want to say for anyone listening, because I remember seeing this come up on a Reddit board once before of like, am I allowed to unfollow people?
Hmm.
Like, how do I handle this situation? And one thing I did do was I reached out to somebody who is just freshly pregnant, because I think two things can coexist. I can be incredibly happy and congratulatory for a friend and so devastated for myself and hurt every time I open up Facebook and see another pregnancy announcement. Um,
Mm,
so I am a big fan of muting people for 30 days or more if I need some time to digest and like process my feelings before I'm ready to see that information.
I love that. That's a great permission slip. I am definitely an advocate of when my bestie tells me something about somebody in her orbit, I unfollow them and they can't go back. I let that go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think maybe I should mute some people sometimes. That might be very helpful.
Yeah. I think that like we have all these like again messages of, especially as women, that we should be graceful. We should be,
Hmm.
happy for somebody else. And of course you are. But those other
Hmm.
feelings, like infertility is such a private, like tortured experience. Like you ride that by yourself, even with your partner. But I think even then it can feel very lonely.
I think it still feels very lonely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I also think that the medical system is poised and pushing women to do IVF as like that's the only way that this is possible.
Okay. Have
And
you
I
done an
struggle.
IUI or is that
It's on the docket. It's
okay?
coming. Yes.
I was going to
Yeah.
ask, what is your inner dialogue like waiting September and October with no letrozole?
It's been a challenge. And it's a challenge because I am trying to like control and tell myself to like heal faster and that I need to let go of X, Y, Z in order to maybe that the next month it'll work and that I just need to like emotionally push through these things and physically let go of these things to allow for this to happen naturally,
Mm-hmm. It's
which
like that.
is,
If you just stop
yeah,
trying and relax, it'll happen.
yeah, that's definitely the inner dialogue I'm
Yeah.
having.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I remember they had scheduled my HSG test or whatever, the wrong date. And so for anybody who doesn't know, this is the test that they do where they put iodine or some kind of coloring,
Air, I think it, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
through your fallopian tubes to test if they are opened or if there's something blocking. Incredibly painful. I feel like I need to say that
Awful.
because nobody warned me. And they scheduled it for the wrong date and had to schedule it the following month. And
Oh
I
no.
broke down in the hospital. I
Oh,
was like, not
oh,
waiting another month. I've already waited.
it's hard. Yeah. I had that test on the day. So I had like business life was planned and there's a big conference coming up and all of the team was in town and we had a big team building day and a photo shoot. And I had to leave the photo shoot and go to my HSG appointment and then go back and have dinner and try and be a great leader and excited to be present.
Oh my God.
And it was a lot to hold on to in a day.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of highs and lows. Yeah, and it
Wow.
is incredibly painful. I hear you there.
Hmm.
Yeah. Also, I didn't even know that was a thing
No.
until it occurred. I'm like, are you kidding? I could have had these unblocked before. Like they were for me, they were very clearly blocked and
Oh, they were
very,
blocked. Okay. Yeah, mine weren't.
yeah, I had a lot of inflammation and they removed it, which was very painful. But it's like, okay, we could have done that like 6 months ago. Like,
Yeah.
where are we in the timeline?
Yeah. Yeah. Like,
Yeah,
and I don't know, I obviously don't work in the reproductive field and like where all things are, but it's like I wish that they would inform women of these things when they're younger so that they have
exactly.
all the
Yeah.
information and then they can make a decision.
Yes. Yes. And I work with a lot of femtech people and I see a lot changing in that space. And I am hopeful that it is changing for youth and for Gen Z and that they will have more education. But
Hmm.
I still think there's an element of like we have to be open to hearing it and know to look for it a little bit. Like it's not quite in our faces just yet, but I hope it will be.
Hmm. You've spoken a bit about how you are making changes to be gentler on yourself and more caring and compassionate. What do you think the hardest part about making peace with the body that you live in, the one that you have versus the one that you hope to have, has been?
That I have to make peace, that I have to figure out how to do it, that I have to still love myself
Hmm. Like that there's no other
despite,
choice.
yeah, this is it.
Well, this is the hand we've been
Yeah,
dealt. Now what do we do?
yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm definitely not there yet. I'm trying very hard to be in the space, but
Hmm.
it's a work in progress.
It is, yeah. Um, I don't know if this is helpful or not. I have said this to another friend who is currently in the fertility journey. And I've rethought about it. I'm like, is that giving false hope? I don't know. Before I was pregnant with my son, I almost envisioned this child that was going to come to us. And it gave me so much hope of like, we are going to get there, hell or high water, whether that was through adoption in the future or whatever wherever the path ended up taking us. I be honest, I would have like turned over every rock to get there. But it did make me feel hopeful of like, I'm just going through the steps. Like, if that wasn't for me, that wasn't for me. We're going to the next one.
Hmm. Hmm. I definitely don't have a vision of what that child looks like because I'm trying to be open to all possibilities. And
Yeah,
I know
yeah.
that like if I went a different route of like adoption, then it might not look the way I want it to.
Hmm.
But I like that
Yeah. It wasn't a
mentality.
physical vision. It was more of a
Mm,
felt sense of this person. But
I like that.
yeah, I needed it in the times that it was hard to kind of keep holding on.
Oh, thank you for sharing.
Now, I know in your line of work, being visible, being front and center on camera, online is part of the work. What does it take for you to show up authentically when your body story feels like it's really tender right now?
Yeah. It takes a lot. Everything is really hard and it's always been hard. It's never been easy for me to show up online and be like an internet personality. I don't feel like I'm an internet personality. I think I'm a person
Hmm.
promoting my business just like anybody else is. And I'm definitely a work in progress. I have a hard time feeling seen,
Hmm.
and I'm
Meaning
working
that
on
you
that.
don't feel seen, or when you are seen, that's hard.
That I'm scared to be seen. So to
Okay.
be my most authentic self is very scary. And So I'm definitely kind of in like the mentality of just like feel the fear and do it anyway, to
Mm-hmm.
keep trying, keep messing it up. I mean, I have a podcast and I talk to people all the time. And what I do appreciate about that is that I can have conversations and explore my own feelings and hear so many insights and like what other people are doing. I can relate and understand. And I think that owning a business is the biggest self growth that we'll ever have as
Mm-hmm.
entrepreneurs. Like we're constantly pushing ourselves to moving forward or doing something
Mm-hmm.
different. And yeah, um, it also comes just to like, I'm trying to be as vulnerable as I can because I know that that's the real parts of me. And
Mm-hmm.
so I mean, this is huge for me to be here and to have this conversation on a podcast that's recorded. That's terrifying in a way.
Yeah. Well,
And I don't
I
really talk
appreciate it,
about
but I also
these.
imagine people listening really appreciating this as well.
Hmm.
Like
Well,
the, I'll say the reason I wanted to have this podcast was to have these types of conversations. Like, I feel like these
mm,
conversations, I do have them frequently with clients behind closed doors, paid sessions. Someone has
mhm,
decided they want to go to that place. Or
right.
it's like at this quiet, intimate gathering and someone gets cornered up on the edge of the couch together and they start sharing. But like,
Mm,
when else do we get to hear about other women's experiences and what they're going through? Because you're definitely not the only one who's going through
of
it.
course. Yeah. Yeah. I love that you're opening the door and allowing people to see into that window. I think that's beautiful.
Hmm. Thank you. And thank you very much for sharing everything that
Oh,
you're
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 welcome.
experiencing right now. Um, for you, what is the start to that shift? Like, it sounds like making sure that you're eating, I don't know if it's breakfast or lunch, rather than fighting your body, but listening to it.
I think I'm allowing myself to believe that I can listen to my body. Even a few years ago, I would have said, like, I'm disconnected. I don't know anything about my body. What do you
Hmm.
mean if I tapped into myself, I can understand. And now, where I'm at now, I think it's an overwhelming wave of I started listening to my body and now everything is there. I
Mm.
feel like I smell deeper than I used to, that I'm like feeling pain differently than I used to, that everything is coming up in different forms.
Hmm.
So
Like almost like a
that's
tidal
part
wave
of it.
of experiences
Yes.
now.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And I think there's like that piece of like unlearning that I can listen to my body and trying also to not overanalyze or overthink it or control it and just like be present with it.
Hmm.
Um, in terms of my health journey, yeah, I like try to eat breakfast or a snack and dinner. I'm trying to like regulate that I actually eat and show up for that. I'm trying to make sure I drink lots of water and I'm trying to do more fitness and movement, which is really hard for me because I have a lot of chronic pain. There are
Hmm.
days when I can't move or like walk around the block. And
Hmm.
so I have to push myself and be gentle to myself in those days, but also find ways to adjust to that.
Hmm.
Um, and I think having conversations like this, I mean, with friends and like reaching out to my community has been really helpful.
Hmm.
And there are people who I trust that I could talk about this with. And it's been really great.
I'm always aware that, anytime there is a big shift in like our reasons why we're changing our relationship with food, that there is the risk, I think, of coming back to like diet culture and being like, well, this must be the right way. And I've heard you say a few times, like, I'm making sure I'm eating more frequently, I'm engaging in more movement. Like,
Yeah,
the lingo, which is, I'm happy
I
for
do.
that.
I'm hearing it, but
Yeah.
I'm also trying not to talk about diet culture, I promise.
No, no, no. And like movement is how I would describe it myself.
Mm.
But do you feel any of those urges or kind of like the pressure that you need to do it a certain way? I guess like it also comes from when you're saying, I'm measuring my ovulation, I'm doing this, I'm doing like there's kind of then a more textbook way of following a healthy eating plan. Like do you fall into that ever, or how does that? How does that work for you?
Like what a healthy eating plan looks like.
Or like when, or do you experience, I guess, the pressure to just dive in and do it Weight Watchers style?
No,
Okay.
I would say I have in the past. I probably would have subscribed to diet culture. But I also like just scrolling on TikTok. There are so many things of like, well, if you have PCOS, you should do it like this. And if you have endometriosis, you can do it like this. And so I have looked at all of those things and it's a lot. And
Yeah.
I can't do all of that. So yes, I hear it. I see it all the time. And there's that pressure there.
Mm-hmm.
I am following what my health professionals are recommending I do
Mm-hmm.
and sticking to that in terms of eating. The rebel in me is like no to meal prepping, no to like knowing what's coming ahead.
Yeah.
So I'm just kind of going with the flow and doing it and being aware. And I definitely don't like track what I eat in a day. I could tell you what I eat, but I'm not like writing it down or
Yeah.
measuring my food in any way, which is what I know some people can do, which yeah, that seems like a lot of control and it scares me.
Okay.
It seems like a lot of things. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's reassuring to hear, because I think that that can be a risk of like I
Mhm.
need to just follow all the protocols to a T, and then it gets rigid as well.
Yes, that's fair. Yeah. Yeah. I have noticed as of late that so I'm taking all these different supplements to try
Mm-hmm.
and manage my thyroid and stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
my weight has shifted immensely in the past like 4 months. And I
Mm-hmm.
think it's due to taking supplements because I've been pretty status quo on how I move my body and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm seeing that relationship to myself change again, where I'm starting to like think that being a different weight on the scale means I'm better or I'm
Mm-hmm.
on a progress or I'm moving towards progress. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's true. And I also am trying to let go of that, like, no, it's okay. I can
Yeah.
still be old me. I can be new me. I can be in between. Yeah.
It's really hard when it's like almost ingrained in you that the self pride or the, positive feelings about your body getting smaller, it's like it just naturally pops up even if you don't want it to.
Yes. Yeah, yeah. It is ingrained in us, yeah. And in society and how we all
Mm-hmm.
talk about each other and treat each other.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that was a topic at Thanksgiving, how my body looked. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Don't we need to not be talking about it, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm. Well, we have talked about so much today, and I hope that others listening can see the threads of like just talking about where things started for you and the the changes that have happened in your relationship with your body, and the journey of fertility, and all of the reproductive medical stuff that's been going on for you. Where does that leave you now? Like what would you like that next chapter of this book to be for yourself?
I'm hopeful that it's going to be more open and full of radical acceptance and boundaries and love for myself. And I hope that I can nurture myself throughout this reproductive journey, and that I'm sure soon when I encounter perimenopause and menopause, as we all do, that I'm going to get there and have more grace for myself and have so much learning from that.
Oh my God, yeah.
Um, but yeah, I am excited and hopeful that I get to be a mother soon and hope I can report back that that goes well.
Yeah, please do.
Mm.
Yeah, I think that it is such a nice place to be. Like as you've been talking, I hear so much of myself. And then I also have been experiencing like a lot of gratitude of like, oh, thank you for being in a place now that like I just feel like I approach things differently. Or like it does get so much
Yes.
easier to slow it down or say no, or and not feel like you're falling behind or that you're doing something wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm there now and I'm super grateful to be
Mhm.
here and that part of the journey.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Hope. You've given hopefully a lot of hope to other people. Um, where can people find you if you want to give a little, shout out to the work that you do and If anybody wants to connect with you, maybe about your story, maybe about some of the work that you're doing.
Yeah, right. I should talk about myself again. You can find me on any social media. My branding and website agency is called Unicorn Marketing Co. And on social media, that's at Hello Unicorn Marketing. Please feel free to reach out and share with me. One of the reasons I reached out to Meredith is because as I had been talking about endo, people in my community who I didn't know had endo were reaching out to me and we would go for coffee. And I feel like there's so much love in this community and I am happy to give back and hold space for you. So yeah. And thank you, Meredith, for holding space for me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing everything.
Yeah. And I do have a podcast. It's called the Magic Hour Podcast, and you can find it wherever you listen to podcasts. It's all about chatting with women on their journeys through business and all of the highs and lows and demystifying success and what wellness looks like and everything in between. Yeah.
Very interesting. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much to Hope Mikal for sharing so openly about her body story, her fertility journey, and what it looks like to build a business and a life rooted in compassion instead of control. If this episode resonated with you, I'd love for you to share it with someone who might need to hear it too. You can connect with Hope through Unicorn Marketing Co. I'll link her site in the show notes. And if you're ready to begin your own process of rebuilding trust with food and your body, you can explore my One Body to Love program and other free resources at meredithmackenzie.ca. Until next time, be gentle with yourself. Stay curious about what your body's trying to tell you, and keep practicing that quiet kind of courage that comes from choosing compassion over control. That's it for today's episode of One Body to Love. I'm so grateful you chose to spend this time with me. These conversations around food and body image can be deeply personal, and the fact that you showed up today open and curious means more than I can say. If today's episode resonated with you, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Come connect with me on Instagram at Dr. Meredith Mackenzie. Send me a message, share what stood out, or just say hi. If you're ready to take the next step toward food freedom and finally feel at home in your body, head to meredithmackenzie.ca/OBTL to learn more about the One Body to Love program. You'll find everything you need to begin healing your relationship with food with support every step of the way. If you're enjoying the show, one of the best ways to show support is by leaving a quick rating and review on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you're listening. Your words help more women find this space and feel less alone. Until next time, be gentle with yourself. You deserve a life of peace with food and your body.